Do you remember your first full length Disney film? I saw Snow White when I was about 2 years old and instantly fell in love with everything to do with the film. But how much do you really know about the Walt Disney Company or even Walt Disney Animation Studios? I'm here to inform you about the Walt Disney Company, and I bet that the history and the story behind it may actually be surprising to you, and you may not know some facts about the company. Disney has impacted many of our lives since we were very young, and is relevant to each person in one way or another. Walt Disney Company has had many technological achievements as well as groundbreaking films that changed the way animations were made for forever. So, how did it all get started? As detailed in the D23 archival article entitled Disney History, Walt and Roy Disney founded Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio with not much more than a dream to be successful. Roy was the one that actually wanted to change the name of the company to Walt Disney Animation Studios. However, Walt was a little skeptical, but then eventually was on board. The two brothers moved from Kansas to California in the hopes of making it in the animation business, but they really didn't know what they were getting themselves into. Although Mickey was the start of their really big success, they had other characters that came before this, such as Alice's Wonderland, that featured a real life girl in a cartoon setting, and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. This was produced through a distributor who eventually would go behind their backs, buy out their animators, and steal the cartoon right out from under them. But they didn't let this stop them, and they started to produce Mickey Mouse cartoons. Although everyone loved the idea of Mickey Mouse, they didn't like that it was a silent cartoon. So they decided that they had to step up their game and produce a sound cartoon. So Steamboat Willie was created, and this was one of the first cartoons to be made with coordinated music and sound. This was an overnight success, skyrocketed them to fame, and they went on to create a series with all sorts of characters such as Goofy and Donald Duck. And according to the Walt Disney Animation Studios web article entitled History of Disney Animation, this was when they decided that they needed to attempt their first full length animated feature film. This is how Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came about, and it took them 3 years to make the film, pretty much because they used single cell animation and a multiplane camera, which is a very long process. But the multiplane camera was invented by Disney, and it was actually used until 1989. And how this works is that you have a set of translucent cells, one for the background, foreground, and middle ground, and once they're all together, you get your picture. The movie was released in 1937. It broke the highest grossing film record, and it basically set the pace for what they needed to do as far as their movies were. However, their future films were not as successful because World War II started and no one had the money to go out and buy a movie ticket. However, everything turned around in the 1950s with huge successful movies such as Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, and Peter Pan, and the first TV Christmas specials were aired at that point too, which were also extremely successful. But with all this success was not enough for Walt Disney. He was inspired by the trips with his daughters to the zoos and carnivals to want to make a place that was really for a family, that parents and children could interact together and do activities and have fun. So Disneyland was opened in 1955, and this basically was the framework for every amusement park thereafter. And Walt Disney actually stated, Disneyland will never be completed as long as there is imagination left in the world, which holds true to today because Disneyland is basically a revolving door of different attractions and activities for families to enjoy. However, all good things must come to an end, and Walt Disney passed away December 15th, 1966. However, he left behind many animation ideas, and this was carried out by Roy and the team. And prior to his death, he bought a plot of land that he hoped to extend his Disneyland franchise. So, as we all know, the Walt Disney Company has seen extreme success with Disney World, which was opened December 1st, 1971. However, unfortunately, Roy passed away later that year, and the company was left to a group of trusted employees that Walt and Roy had actually trained. And as we all know, the Walt Disney Company has seen extreme success as listed on the Disney Company's About page. They have had feature films such as The Little Mermaid, Tarzan, Frozen, Big Hero 6. They own TV networks such as Disney Channel, ABC, Freeform, and ESPN. And they have studios such as Walt Disney Animation Studios, Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, Pixar, Touchstone, and Marvel, to name a few. And overall, the Walt Disney Company impacted lives and even though they came from humble beginnings, they skyrocketed to fame with their animations, technology, and amusement parks and changed everyone's lives forever. How has Disney impacted your life?